Hello and welcome to the Writecome.com podcast, where we help you to make money from your words. Each episode will be sharing tips, tricks, and strategies you can use to make more money from your writing, publishing, and marketing to your fans and audience. Let's get started with your host, Barry J. McDonald.
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode from Writecome.com. And today I want to ask you to maybe stop picking up yesterday's thoughts. Now, what I mean by that, or maybe to explain it a little bit better, around this time of year, many years back, I used to look forward to the new release of the Wallace and Gromit short movies on the BBC. Now, if you don't know who Wallace and Gromit are, you are sorely losing out. But me even mentioning that is probably painting me in a completely different light to you. You're probably seeing me as the big kid that I am. So basically, what Wallace and Gromit was, they were kind of two little claymation characters that the Aardman Studios had created. It was an inventor and a dog. And as you would find sometimes, unfortunately, when there is an inventor, there usually is a little bit of a sidekick who needs to kind of test out all the inventions. And Wallace had Gromit as his sidekick. So unfortunately, Gromit was usually put in the position where he was the kind of test dummy who would test out all the kind of inventions that Wallace had put together. Now, in one of the episodes many years back, Wallace had created this kind of pair of trousers, they're mechanical trousers, and the person could simply climb into them, and I think there was a little bit of a remote control that went with the trousers. So basically it was a lazy way of getting around. You would jump into these mechanical trousers and then you could walk wherever you needed to go to without actually exerting any effort. Now, unfortunately, in this episode, at the very, very beginning, there was a little character who had escaped from prison. I think he was a penguin or something like that, but he was a master criminal. And of course, when he found out of all the great inventions that Wallace had created, you know, he knew that he could use those in his next kind of his crime spree and his diamond heists or whatever he was going to do with them. But he was going to use those trousers to do all the different things that he needed to do to break into the banks or whatever, and to rob all the loot. Now, of course, Wallace, even though he is an inventor, he's a little bit on the dumb side. So he didn't realise that this little character who had moved into our house was basically, even though he thought he was a cockerel, but the little character had simply just put a rubber glove on the top of his head to kind of make himself look like a cockerel. But as most times, Wallace was a little bit dim, didn't realise what was going on. But of course, Gromit being the brains in the kind of duo, he was the one that kind of sussed the character out and realised what he was doing. And there's a great scene in that animated episode, The Wrong Trousers. I'm sure if you probably go over to YouTube, you'll probably find it. If you probably do a search for Gromit, and if you do model railway or whatever. Now, if you've already seen the episode, you're probably well aware of what it is. So what it is it's a simple kind of, it's like a car chase through a living room, in that the little character, the baddie, is trying to escape from Gromit, and he is escaping on a model railway. And then you have Gromit then, who is giving him chase on another kind of little kind of model steam toy train that is coming chasing after him. Now, in one of the scenes, whatever happens, I'm not too sure exactly what way it played out, but it ended up that Gromit was coming to the end of his little kind of railway. So as they are kind of playing out, they're kind of zigzagging around under the kitchen table, they're going underneath the sofas, and they're kind of going round the furniture in the front room and chasing each other at high speed. And Gromit finds out then that ahead of him, unfortunately, the rail is going to run out and he's probably going to crash, and he's not going to be able to catch up on the little character that he needs to, the baddie. So what he does is he looks over his shoulder, and there's a box of track pieces that he finds behind him. And what he does is, as the train is flying along, he's simply throwing the track pieces down in front of him, and of course they're clicking into place, so he can keep up with the little character. So as the train is kind of flying along the carpet floor, he is firing these track pieces ahead of him just to keep the track going, just to make sure that he can give chase and catch up with the character. So, as I said, if you probably are well aware of the episode, you'll probably know exactly how it plays out. But I'm sure if you do a search on on YouTube, you'll find the scene. But it's a really, really entertaining and very funny and well done scene. And the thing is, it's always stood out in my mind, even years after I have watched it. Now, why am I talking about Wallace and Gromit, and why am I talking about that scene? Well, unfortunately, we are all on our kind of own kind of a mental railway track, and as we kind of come into a brand new day every day, instead of actually, realizing that we have this kind of the freedom to go in any direction that we want to do, to think new thoughts, to take new actions or whatever, we simply pick up the ones we had from yesterday and we just throw them ahead of ourselves and we follow along the little train track we've already put in place yesterday and the day before and the day before. It's almost like we are grommet with our kind of box of thoughts and actions from the days, weeks and months before, and what we do is, rather than thinking to ourselves, well, I can go in any new direction today, I can have any new thought I can today, I can do whatever I want to, unfortunately we simply pick up yesterday's thoughts and the thoughts from the day before and the day before that, and we simply throw them ahead of ourselves during the day today. So what we're doing is we are probably thinking the same thoughts as we did yesterday, we are going to do the same actions as we did the day before, and as you're probably well aware, common sense would say to you, if you think the same way you did yesterday, if you do the same actions you did yesterday, you are going to be exactly back in the same spot. Even if we just maybe just set aside whatever you are doing right now, even if we just take something simple as weight loss, for example. Say, for example, you were eating the exact same way you did yesterday. If today you were going to have the same kind of meals as you had yesterday, and you did the exact same actions, maybe the lack of exercise or whatever, can you really expect to get closer to your weight loss goal if you are kind of repeating the same thing over and over again? If you're eating the same foods day after day after day, if you are not kind of exercising or not even trying to do something different in your day, can you really expect the scales to move in any direction? Can you expect them really to go backwards, or you have to lose weight? Now, that probably makes common sense to you. You're probably nodding your head along saying, yeah, that totally makes sense. How can you expect to lose weight if you are doing the exact same things as you did the day before and the day before that, and if you are eating the same things? But when you actually think about it for a moment, a lot of us at the moment are kind of living our lives out that way. We are expecting some success. We are expecting to be, maybe a New York Times best-selling author, or maybe we are looking to, build a business or whatever. But unfortunately, we are kind of using the tracks of yesterday's thoughts and yesterday's actions to try and build that business. And if you really do that, can you really expect to go in a completely different direction than what you have done in the past before? So I want you to think about whatever thoughts you are having every day. Are they the same thoughts you had yesterday, the day before that? And if you do kind of, as Gromit did in that animated piece, if you kind of take that little bit of track of that thought that you have, or that action you have, and you are dropping it in front of yourself right now, can you really, really expect to go in a completely different direction? Now, I don't expect you to wake up today or wake up tomorrow and have completely brand new thoughts. You will find a lot of thoughts will carry over from the day before, but I want you to maybe just consider maybe just making a small change in the thoughts that you are having, a small change in the actions that you're carrying out, and kind of see if you can slowly maybe just turn yourself in a new direction. Slowly see if you can turn the little train track that your life is on right now into a completely different direction. Even though something small, it mightn't seem like you're making a big difference in your life, but if you maybe a little bit explain it, maybe a better way would be maybe to consider, maybe if your life right now is at the moment is the Titanic, a small kind of turn of the wheel to the left or right, I'm sure, on the Titanic, even though the ship was huge, would turn that ship in a completely different direction. You mightn't notice the kind of small turn on the wheel. It mightn't seem much on the first day or the second day, but I'm sure if the Titanic was going in a certain direction, I'm sure even a small turn on the wheel would have made it turn up at a completely different destination than it would before. So that's what I want you to consider today. I want you to consider, are you throwing out the same thoughts you had yesterday? Are you putting them into today? Are you still doing the same actions today, or are you going to do the same actions today as you did yesterday? Maybe it's time to, have a little bit of common sense and realize to yourself, well, if I do the same things, if I'm thinking the same way, can I really expect to go in a completely different direction that I'm going in? So, as I said, I don't want you to kind of, completely go over the top and try and come up with new thoughts today and go in a completely different direction. I want you just to kind of maybe just give yourself a little bit of a push in one direction or in the other. Try and have a look look at some of the negative thoughts maybe you're having right now. Maybe whatever actions you are doing today, maybe stretch yourself a little bit further. Try and write a few maybe more words than you would normally do, or maybe just try and take on something right now that is making you feel a little bit comfortable, that you're probably not confident about, that maybe you're not bad about, and simply kind of lean into that direction. And as I said, you might think, well, in a day or two, you mightn't seem like you're making progress, but over the long haul, over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, just like turning the wheel on the Titanic, you will find your life will kind of veer in a new direction by taking on those actions. So give that some thought today. As I said, if you've never ever seen the episodes, I highly recommend you do go over to YouTube and do a search for Grommet and Model Railway. You probably will find it coming up in the search results. It's a really, really enjoyable scene to watch. But I just wanted to maybe just put that thought in your head. Can you really, really expect your life to go in a completely different direction if you are picking up the same thoughts you had yesterday and you are dropping them in front of you? So as always, thanks for sharing your time again today. If you'd like to know more about me, or if you'd like to reach out to me, if you'd like me to cover anything in an upcoming podcast episode, send an email to barryjmcdonald@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to know where my content is, again, if you do a search for Writecom, that's WRITECOME.com. You can do that on Google, you can do it on YouTube, or you can do it as the podcast, and you'll find all the content. It is all over the web. So as always, think a little bit different today. Maybe do some kind of new action that you've never ever done before, and see if you can push your life in the direction that you wanted to go in. So as always, have a great day, and thanks for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the Writecom.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.